The roadmap to restart post-COVID-19 football in Africa remains patchy months after the game was suspended worldwide in light of the pandemic. Europe, on the other hand, has successfully concluded the disrupted 2019-2020 season. In tonight's sports scene, we highlight the contrast in measures taken to restart the game between the two continents where football is the most popular sport. Hello and welcome to your weekly sports program that brings you all the sporting news and reviews from an African perspective. We will highlight the thrill of victory while also showing you the agony of defeat. I'm Richard and Ty in Nairobi. This is Sports Scene. Let's get real, let's get live, let's get started. Here's what's coming up in the show. Tanzania leads Africa in restarting post-COVID-19 football. And in our special segment, Sportlight, we profile the inspiring story of Uganda para-badminton star Elizabeth Mwesiga. Once again, welcome to Sports Scene. Great to have you with us. Let's get going with football. The European 2019-2020 football season is set to come to an official close this weekend when UEFA hosts the finals of the Champions League on Sunday. It will mark the successful return of post-COVID-19 football. In contrast, only a few African nations have resumed action. CGTN's Thuli Shabalala tells us more.
4 of Europe's top 5 football nations resumed post-COVID-19 action after the pandemic disrupted the 2019-2020 season in March. Under stringent protocols to contain the virus that included no fans in stadiums, England, Germany, Spain and Italy successfully concluded their league and cup competitions. Despite cancelling Ligue 1, France completed their domestic cups. Liverpool finally ended their 30-year wait to be crowned English League winners as Arsenal bagged the FA Cup. Juventus sealed the 9th Serie A league title in Italy before losing to Napoli in the Coppa Italia final. Bayern once more reigned supreme in Germany, collecting another Bundesliga and DFB Pokal double as Real Madrid ended Barcelona's reign as Spanish La Liga winners. In France, PSG added both domestic cups to the league title they were awarded when coronavirus saw the Ligue 1 suspended in April. After wide consultations, Europe's governing body UEFA decided to conclude the 2019-2020 Champions League and Europa League competitions this month. The latter stages of both competitions were played behind closed doors and in central venues in Lisbon, Portugal and Cologne, Germany. As European football concludes its delayed season this weekend, the return of football action in Africa has been chaotic. On the 30th of June, CAF announced its decision on the return of club football, postponing and cancelling several competitions. However, the return of football was largely left to member associations under blanket health and safety guidelines from the Cairo headquarters. Of the 52 CAF members, only Tanzania, South Africa, Egypt, Zambia and Tunisia have returned their club football. Without a definite roadmap, the full return of competitive football across Africa remains a pipe dream. CAF's goal of concluding the Champions League and Confederations Cup continental competitions by October is also in doubt for now. Thuli Shabalala, CGTN.
The province of Gauteng will host the remaining PSL fixtures in a biologically safe environment until the season concludes on the 5th of September, with the title race set to go down to the wire. But the resumption would not have been possible without proper planning by the Premier Soccer League. CGTN CS Duplessis has more.
The announcement by the PSL chairman, Dr. Ivan Koza, on July 13th set in motion months of planning and a new temporary normal for Africa's richest football league. The biosafe environment would come into play, teams would be confined to the bubble, and the league would finally resume, lifting the spirits of millions of fans.
I think a trying time like like we're in at the moment, of course, facing this pandemic, it just makes you stop and reflect on how important the game is, just the game of football is to many people, and when it's there, we appreciate it because we love the game, and sometimes we take it for granted that we can get to a stadium every weekend and go watch a game.
One of the reasons government gave football permission is also because of the solid document that the PSL, together with the SAFA in their SAFA Joint Liaison Committee, they came out with this document which talks about the biologically safe environment. And this is a document which has been made possible by most of the doctors working in the PSL. So I think this is the situation which has also made things easier now.
The resumption has been a success so far and is a credit to the planning and protocols put in place by the Premier Soccer League along with the South African Football Association. One thing, however, is missing, and their absence is noticeable as an eerie silence fills the stadiums.
I really hope that if this is just a short-term solution to complete the current season, then that's great. But certainly in the long term, we need fans back in the stadium. It's not nice playing in an empty stadium. You want to hear the fans, you want to hear the atmosphere, you want to score a goal and celebrate with your fans.
I absolutely think it's very painful not to have our diehard supporters around. We know it's a huge expectation from a huge crowd, probably the biggest in the country. It's absolutely something what we will miss, and we will highlight it ourselves, knowing that we have to fulfill expectation going to the final day on the 5th of September and hopefully fulfill the expectation of each and everybody. And of course, we want to win the league.
Thanks to the professional approach Africa's richest league has taken to combat the effects of COVID-19, the teams vying for top honours can now safely finish the season and allow their loyal supporters to witness, albeit on their television screens, what promises to be a thrilling conclusion to a season that will never be forgotten. Says Duplessis, CGTN, Johannesburg.
Court cases challenging Football Kenya's federation's decision to end the 2019-2020 league season prematurely and lack of a specific time frame to resume sports from the government have combined to leave teams, players, and fans in limbo over when the game will restart. CGTN's Chao Mgono brings us more on the situation in Kenya, where looming federation elections are also a key factor.
Like the rest of the world, Kenyan football was suspended by the coronavirus pandemic. However, as nations in Europe and other parts of Africa resumed or declared champions, the fate of the disrupted 2019-20 season in Kenya remains unclear. The Football Kenya Federation declared the season over and announced winners and relegated teams, but the decision has been challenged in court. With the matter still to be determined, stakeholders remain in limbo. With government restrictions on sporting activity in the country still active, the successful conclusion to the 2019-2020 campaign on the pitch remains a remote possibility.
For the court cases, especially those involving KPL and FKF, again, it's just a wait-and-see game, but from what I gather is that what is being discussed now is the resumption of a new season, and honestly speaking, I don't see that happening anytime soon, with the current trend in Europe, where if there's a game, the players have to be in camp for a certain period of time. They have to be tested regularly, and if a league has probably 10 games remaining, those players have to be put in camp. And that comes at the cost of clubs.
Lack of revenue for clubs has left them unable to pay their players and staff. With most teams losing sponsors due to the financial impact of the pandemic, a new season also runs the risk of not happening due to the high cost of observing COVID-19 protocols.
Our Kenyan clubs do not have the capacity to do regular testing, to transport the players in different buses, to put them in hotels and ensure there's social distancing. So at the moment, I don't foresee a scenario where the league resumes soon.
The Ministry of Sport and Heritage is yet to release a roadmap to the return of post-COVID-19 activity, with financial support to the ailing sector a key requirement before restart.
Again, we are waiting to see the way forward from the Ministry of Sport. They have a committee in place that are discussing all things, but I know for a fact that what they are pondering with is, the finances to make sure that the leagues resume in time.
For years, Kenyan football has been dogged by crisis, with lack of finances top of the list. Combined with the strain put on government and corporate resources by the coronavirus pandemic, it could take a while before action returns. Chamhono, CGTN.
The action continues on Sports Scene. Here's a look at what's ahead. How Tanzania led Africa in restarting post-COVID-19 football.
The greatest journeys, the greatest sights, the greatest adventures.
Here in Panata, this weir allows the locals to walk on water.
We're far more than just TV news. We're your passport to the wonders of Africa.
To bring you stories of struggle, survival and hope.
So let's explore. CGTN. See the difference.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. Thanks for staying with us. Tanzania was the first African country to resume post-COVID-19 football, with Simba SC winning the league and cup double. The country managed to conclude the disrupted 2019-2020 season despite the East African region registering soaring cases of the coronavirus. CGTN's Isaac Lukando has more on the return of football in Tanzania.
On the 2nd of August, Tanzanian giants Simba Sports Club celebrated clinching a domestic double. At the time, many countries in Africa were still under lockdown and other COVID-19 restrictions.
The country's leaders said no. This is a problem that is perhaps rooted in perception, that life can continue as we combat this disease, just as we combat other diseases we live with. So it was not an easy decision, and you will note that when we started, people were a bit fearful of going to stadiums, despite the social distancing measures that were put in place.
The government announced that leagues in the country would resume on the 1st of June following its claim of a significant reduction in coronavirus cases. Players and fans were subjected to strict guidelines and safety regulations during matches. Saving the income of footballers was one of the main reasons given for the resumption.
The United Nations estimates that millions of jobs could be lost from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the sporting industry. To cushion its members from the adverse effects of COVID-19, the World Football Governing Body FIFA has granted $1 million each to football federations around the world, including those in Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya.
Citing the possibility of a resurgence of coronavirus cases, some critics in and outside the country denounced Tanzania's move to resume the league as reckless, but many fans welcomed the decision.
I was worried. How could we be the first to reopen? But when it resumed and things went well, our league became one of our identities. Our country has been recognized through this.
The guidelines put in place were good. As fans, we would sit 1 meter apart, so I was happy about that, and the number of fans in attendance was also reduced.
As the Tanzanian Premier League prepares to enter yet another season, its experience of resuming football amidst the COVID-19 pandemic may just offer a roadmap to other nations seeking to resume their leagues. Isaac Lukando, CGTN, Dar es Salaam.
Well, as football resumes around the world, Ghana is looking to start its 2020-2021 Premier League season from October. The government banned all football activities in March to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The decision wiped out the 2019-2020 season that was only 9 games old, an unprecedented situation in a country that was just recovering from a football leadership crisis. Here is Nabil Ahmed Rufai with more on the Ghana football situation.
For nearly 5 months, football stadiums in Ghana have been empty. No players on the pitch and no fans in the stands. It brings back memories of the suspension of football in 2018 due to a corruption scandal that rocked the Ghana Football Association.
We are not currently engaged in group trainings. Everything is individual training sessions, and the coach he's around here. We've been talking and making sure that right from here he's going to have one-on-one with some of the players at the beach just to keep them fit.
The Football Association has now cancelled the 2019-2020 Premier League entirely, as the government has yet to lift lockdown restrictions on football activities. As football activities bounce back in Europe and other parts of the world amid the pandemic, Ghana is also looking to resume. But first, it would have to ensure strict safety guidelines from the Confederation of African Football could be adhered to. These include the testing of all players and technical staff of football clubs and the regular disinfection of stadiums. But some football clubs say they may not be able to absorb these costs as they have already lost revenue due to the cancellation of the 2019-2020 Premier League.
If we want to leave all to the clubs, I can tell you that then probably starting the season will delay again, will delay very much, because it doesn't come with little sums of money, you understand? So the association will have to look at it. Once they've been able to support with the national teams, it will not be too much of a support that they have to give to the clubs, at least.
Sports analysts agree the government and the FA should consider taking up the cost of testing the players and other safety requirements needed for the start of the league.
Clubs depend on match revenues. They depend on fans coming to the stadium to watch, to make some money. Now here's the case, you're talking about $80 for testing per player. And then you do the calculation mathematics for about how many players, 23 players plus technical team for a particular club. Again, you need to go do what we call social distancing. So players must be in one bus or 2 buses. Even some clubs don't even have a bus, they need to go and rent and all those things. These are difficult times. That's the reason we're saying that if government would absorb some part of the testing, maybe it could help.
The Ghana Football Association says it is in talks with the government to lift restrictions on football activities and has proposed October as the start of the 2020-2021 league season. But questions still remain whether the Premier League will begin with or without fans at the stadium. The Ghana Football Association is expected to hold a congress in September to officially close the 2019-2020 Premier League that had to be cancelled due to COVID-19. The association will also roll out the full plans for the start of the 2020-2021 season from October. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.
And we're not done just yet. Sports Scene continues. Here's a look at what's ahead. In our special segment, Spotlight, we profiled the inspiring story of Uganda para-badminton star Elizabeth Mwesigwa. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. And on our special segment of Spotlight, my colleague Mahia Matua this week speaks to a Paralympian from Uganda who is eyeing to medal at the now postponed Paralympics that will happen next year in Tokyo.
I'm joined by Elizabeth Mwesigwa, who is a para-badminton champion here in Uganda. Elizabeth, thank you very much for joining us. I'll just begin by asking you about your past. When you began life here in Uganda, it was obviously a difficult upbringing for yourself and your family, and you talk about having to do chores like your other able-bodied siblings. Just tell us about that and give us some background about your life.
My growing up, it wasn't easy on my side because I was born lame. Then my grandmother chased me away from the clan, that for them they don't give birth to a disability child. And they chased my dad and my mom. They poisoned my mother. Then from there, we was coming back to school, making bread, and we sell it in the evening, getting money for buying books, buying pencils, buying fuel because I was in the village. You know, it was very, very hard life. I reached to P7, yet I was paying the school fees of myself and my sisters. The sister to my mother, she came at home and asked my mother that give me this daughter. I go with her, I teach her. I was very happy that I'm coming to Kampala. My auntie, she wanted me to go to the street. She told me that we write a letter and we go door to door to ask the money. Now for me, I told her, no, I won't do that. Because my mother, she taught me to work, not begging money. I will beg until when?
You speak about the first time you came into contact with sports was through watching other people play wheelchair basketball. Tell us about that a bit more.
I started playing with them, going for training every day. And my colleagues, they called me that, come, we have also this game. It's a new game, come and watch. If you are interested, you join. If you are not, you leave. Then from there, we went, they trained us. We had a match. That match, I won them. Yet I came late. And from there, that's the way how I started to play badminton.
Obviously, as life went along, you went from being interested in badminton at a maybe hobby level to now winning medals across, outside Uganda as well as within your own country. Maybe tell us about the most significant win or medal that you won in your career so far.
The difficult one was for Uganda International because it was many countries they came. I didn't even expect that I'm going to win. And it was, the person I played with, because that made I won in doubles, that the person I was playing with, she told me that, no, be patient. Everything is going to be okay. You are gold medalist, don't worry. That is the time I calmed down. because I was on pressure, winning, because all the countries they was winning. Yet we in Uganda, we didn't had any medal by that time.
Elizabeth, it seems like your biggest challenge to date has been money and getting sponsorship to be able to travel to other countries and to be able to take part in this sport. Tell us a bit more about that.
I'm seeing my future, to bring a gold. But how am I going to bring gold? We don't have facilities like training ground. You can reach there, yet many people they are there. They give you few time, and maybe they can say, "So you don't train from here, I can train from there." That is neglect. They separate us. Able people, they don't want to train with us. If our federation can get for us the good coaches, we can bring more medal. Yeah, for the country and for ourselves.
Finally, Elizabeth, if there is somebody watching this, a young person in Africa who is interested in sports but is living with disability, what would you say to them?
Keep on what you are doing. In the future, you'll get what you want. You will achieve what you want to achieve. Like me, because me, I didn't know that even I will be here. In Africa, I'm #1. Then in mixed double in Africa, we are #2. That's why I decided to start up a school for people with disability. Reason being, the parents in the villages, they neglect children with disability. I took 2 years making a research on people with disability. Not only here in Uganda, but I went even to Rwanda, I went even to Kenya to do the research. In 2016, that's when I started up the school. And right now I have 200 children with disability. Having a child with disability is not mean that disability is inability. No. Because someone has just disability on flesh, not in the heart.
Well, that's it for this edition of Sports Scene. Remember, you can send us your feedback to the contacts on the screen and follow us on digital media platforms. We leave you with our sports moment of the week, which are some of the highlight images of Sevilla winning their 6th UEFA Europa League.